I am so very excited for this manga review, and this saying of better late than never perfectly reflects the review that I'm doing for this digital manga. Hello friends, happy Friday. So very excited that you're here. I know usually on the first Friday of the new month, I try and do a reading wrap up, but due to how this week fell and the dates, I really didn't want to rush myself to film that video and then rush to edit it. So stay tuned for next week for the reading wrap up. But this week I am doing a digital manga recommendation and I am so incredibly stoked. It was so good. It was so good. I'm hoping that all my thoughts will be in order because I have literally, since I started this manga, I read the first 3 volumes. And don't worry, there will be no spoilers for the later volumes in this video. I have literally read this series since I started 3 times now as of last night before filming this video. 3 times! Oh my goodness, it is so good. And I want to do a huge shout out to my friend Kawaii Heart because I know that she watched the anime when it aired. I remember every week she would gush how beautiful it is, how much she was enjoying it. And I was like, Laura, you need to start it. And I didn't. And then finally, this past weekend when I was sick, I was like, you know what? Usually when I'm sick, it's time to read digital manga or webtoons, webcomics. And I was like, we're going to finally start this because there's an upcoming Top 5 Wednesday prompt that is like, I think this manga would work. It didn't work for that prompt. I'm hoping I can use it somewhere else. It was so good. And that manga is Princess Bibliophile. Sorry I didn't say that first, but it is amazing. It is so wonderful. Why don't we have this physically? Why don't we have this physically? I know it has been on my TBR. I think this manga came out like 2-3 years ago and the cover art is absolutely breathtaking. That was the very first thing that made me want to read the series because I'm like, the covers are just absolutely stunning. And I feel like every single one that we keep getting prettier and prettier than the last. And I'm like, how can this be? They're already gorgeous as it is. But in case if you're not familiar with this series, it is about our main girl. Her nickname is Eli. That's what I'm gonna call her in this video. But she is a bibliophile princess because she doesn't want clothes or fancy jewelry or like expensive gifts. Like, no, the way to into her heart is through books. And so she got this nickname because of her love for books, and like that's all that she does all day. Well, the prince comes to her and he's like, hey, I want to marry you. And she's like, you want to marry me? And he sort of explains, but it's going to be a marriage of convenience. It's not going to be one out of love or all the swoon worthiness or all the romanticness. He sort of bribes her and he's like, look, I'll let you read all the books that you want without any interruptions. Like, hello, that's pretty awesome. And I'll let you access the royal archives, which is only available to the staff at the castle. She's like, well, okay. And I totally don't blame Eli at all for saying yes. Fast forward 4 years and she knows that she is just a woman that's supposed to marry the prince in name only. She knows that this is a loveless relationship, but she slowly starts to realize that maybe for her, it's not as loveless as she thought. There's a new girl on the scene and it seems like she is winning Prince Christopher his affections. And she starts realizing maybe I'm actually in love with this man. And there is some things that go down in that first volume. Some things come out, not at the end of volume 1, but going into volume 2. And let's just say, if you can buy chairs for people who swoon, I need a swoon chair. I need one because the swoon worthiness is so incredibly real with this series. I don't even know where to start because there's so many different elements that I loved about this series. I asked myself earlier, I was like, Laura, what was your favorite part of this series? And I said, I don't know which one to answer that question first. Saying that though, I guess it would make sense to start with our heroine, and I loved her right away. The way that Prince low-key bribes her into marrying him, or at least considering the idea of marriage, it captured my heart. I was like, girl, you are a true bibliophile princess here, Princess Bibliophile, however you want to say it. Like, you fit this title. You are this title. You are capturing and carrying all of us book nerd dreams on your shoulders, because I was like, this is so sweet. And I mean, maybe that sounds wrong to say because we should never bribe another person to marry a different person, but there's a lot there. And you find out, and I'll just say right now, you find out why he has come to her with this idea of marriage. You find out in volume 2, like near the beginning, and it is worth it. This man, Prince Chris, is the ultimate swoon-worthy prince. I don't know how anybody can top this because I'm like, he waited so many years years for this woman, for Eli to be married to her. And I'm like, you just can't top it. You just can't beat it. I don't want to go too much into it, but I will quickly say, I know I was going to talk about Eli, but I guess we should just talk about Prince Chris, because I'm like, I'm already here. Going with that, you find out a lot of his backstory in the second volume. And originally, when I first read it the first time, I was like, I loved volume 1. I thought it was absolutely amazing. And then I read volume 2 and I'm like, okay, when the arc's wrapped up, I thought it wasn't quite as exciting. And then when I read it the second time, and even last night, I was like, Laura, what was happening here? What was happening? Like, this is really good. Like, why would you say that this wasn't as exciting? Because it was so satisfying and so swoon-worthy to see how much she loves Eli. Like, he loves her for her, because you find out that there is a hidden name of sorts behind the meaning of her name, and he is so adamant with her. Like, Eli, I love you individually as a person. I want you. I don't want anything that you can give me. I want you, Eli the person. I feel like my heart skipped a beat multiple times when he says that. Like, you can see the earnestness in his eyes through the art I mean, you can hear it in his words. And when they just have kisses, like, oh, it's so beautiful, so stunning. Some of the most beautiful art that I've seen. But going back to Chris and his backstory, I really loved it. If you were sort of like, there's not much substance to volume 1, and I heard a lot of people say that, and I will be honest, I was so nervous to review it on my channel because of that. And I was like, why, Laura? Maybe no, it does not have a lot of substance, and it does have, like, I feel like these drama points, because I definitely was feeling all of the feelings. I was really happy, and I was really upset, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm about to cry, and I was like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. Like, I was feeling all of the emotions. I was totally sucked in. So anyway, but because of other people's words, I should not let them have influenced me, so I'm glad I'm filming this video review today. All of that, if you feel like there's not much substance in the first volume, just wait till the new arc begins in the second volume. Like, it's probably about a quarter to halfway through. Everything makes sense. You see Prince Chris's heart shining on page, and the moments he has with Eli are so good. They are swoon-worthiness, and I apologize for keep using that word, but I'm like, what other word reflects this? I mean, yes, it is beautiful, but there are two different cases where Prince Chris makes it known he loves Eli, and he uses physical touch. He does not do anything inappropriate to her, but he makes it known that he wants to kiss her, that he wants to hold her. And there's one scene that involves food that's like, that was a little bit spicy. Again, nothing inappropriate, but compared to everything else where it's super clean and wholesome, I was like, he was really making it known. He didn't want any misunderstandings, and he definitely does that a few times throughout these 3 volumes. He wants no kind of misunderstandings, because going back to Eli, as I was trying to do originally, she is not the brightest in the sense of she's a very smart young woman. I mean, she learned other languages simply so she could go read her books. I'm like, girl, you are a book nerd on another level. I absolutely loved it. Very, very fun. And seeing how much she respects books and respects knowledge, and how she helps these voices in these books, so to speak, is very moving as another book reader. I really love seeing her passion, and it comes out fierce. But as I was saying, she doesn't often pick up on like social cues. And so sometimes she will miss the mark, so to speak. Like, there's a case where Prince Chris is feeling the vibe. He's like, and it seems like, even to me, like they're about to kiss, and then she just like, hey, I have a question. And he's like, you know, you could have waited. So she seems maybe not the brightest when it comes to those social norms. Also, she doesn't always have a lot of emotional expression. So it can be hard at times to gauge what is she thinking or feeling if we're not having her internal dialogue to pick up on those vibes. I felt like she was fairly expressive in volume 1, and I believe the manga artist mentions that she did give her a little bit more expression than the light novel, which I did appreciate, and I love the expressions that she makes, especially as the manga goes on and Chris is having that physical touch. I'm thinking of love languages when I say that, because I definitely feel like his would be, yeah, physical touch. With Eli, probably gifts. Forgive me, guys, I do not remember where I was going with that. Let's just blame my excitement on this one. I guess talking about this missing social cues, she even says that as a concern, because that was the thing that I really loved, is she may not know at first, her true feelings for the prince. She slowly realizes them and she knows, and she's like, this is love. And the moment that happens though is so heartbreaking. I'm not gonna lie. Well, it's like the moment she actually says that is very heartbreaking. Prince Chris has given her a beautiful and stunning gift, right? Well, she comes and she sees that he is with this other woman and she's like, I have come to return your gift. And he's like, well, why? And she's like, I don't need it anymore. The expression that she makes is gold. She seems angry and she is, but she's hurt. And Prince Chris's expression, you can see the heartbreak, and it is a beautiful and amazing page. And I say it's beautiful and amazing because you can feel the feelings of the characters. Like they're just leaping off the page right onto you. And I'm just like, this is so good. I just feel like the power of that moment, of how significant it is for Eli. And at that moment too, she's really feeling like, man, I feel really dumb right now. She's like, how could I have not seen the signs that I was not something special to him like maybe I have thought, even though they've been engaged for 4 years. And so she sort of falls down this hole of realizing, man, everybody, even the servants know what's going on, and I was sort of oblivious to this. Don't worry, as Prince Chris said, he set the stage, and that man can definitely, I wouldn't say he's manipulative, but he is very cunning, but not in a bad way. Like the way things unfold, because he really wanted people to accept Eli, his fiance, for her, not because of her name or her title or her status, because of her accomplishments. And she really does that. Like, I feel like, okay, she's just a book reader. What kind of ability or strengths could she bring as the fiance to the prince? And when that moment comes and you see these people come forward and they say, Eli has done this, Eli has done this, and how she has affected people, not just the nobles, but has affected people who do not have that kind of status. It is good, perfection, amazing, absolutely loved it. Gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, because that is where I really started feeling the emotional pull of everything that is going on. And this other woman, like, she thought she had everything going good. Girl, you did not. And it comes out and I was like, yes. I mean, I know Eli is like, I sort of feel a little bad. I was like, girl, no, don't feel bad for them. She did that to herself. It was very, very good. Absolutely loved it. And I really loved too, I thought volume 1 was my favorite, but then we get to volume 3 and I really love the character development that we're specifically seeing in Eli. Because going back to what I was saying before, maybe that's what I was trying to say and then I got overly excited and forgot. Again, I do apologize about that. But she feels, because she cannot remember certain things, she really feels down in the dumps about it. I love how there's a certain character that speaks to her and is like, hey, don't bottle up those feelings. You need to kindly express them and tell other people how you're feeling, because it can be hard for other people to know if you're not telling them how you're feeling. And so she sort of low-key has this struggle of, I'm feeling this way. I don't feel worthy enough to be Prince Chris's fiance, but I love him and I care for him. And not only that, but we also see that passion that she has for books, because there's a really great incident with books and bad things happening to books and Eli getting super passionate. She tells somebody, she's like, you are a cockroach. And I was like, girl, you tell this man. When she gets those moments and the art just reflects that, and it gets so good seeing all this passion, all these moments building up in the words, building up in the art that I could not get enough of. Fantastic every single way around. And I say all that because I really love those moments and that character growth that I was seeing in Eli in that 3rd volume. I loved all of these characters. They were so fantastic. The prince has a lot of great guys around him, and they're all really unique, and the way that they interact with Eli is always really fun. They have different vibes, different energies that come off, and different personalities as well that make this such a page-turning read that I truly could not get enough of. Like I said, I have read this manga 3 times in the course of a week. I have not done that since I read Loving Yamada early this year. There's just something so compelling about this story. And again, maybe people could say it's just dramatic or there's just cliches. I don't feel like there was cliche though. Maybe a few, but the swoon-worthiness and just the beauty of the art and how the story, I really feel like is transpiring, especially when it comes to that 3rd volume. Because I will just say right now, it is a low-key, chill kind of story. It focuses on the romance. It focuses on the characters. There's things that happen and the characters react. But the end of volume 3 leaves me wondering, Is it going to continue to be that way? Because it looks like we're about to have some action, and I don't know what that means. Did read a little bit of the preview of volume 4, and I'm like, I need answers. I need answers because I just loved this story. I'm sad that people feel like it's sort of simple, and maybe it is because I am a simple person, but I would strongly recommend this to every person who loves romance. If you want really swoon-worthy romance at that, but it's also very clean and wholesome and very, very sweet, this manga is it. I deeply, deeply loved it. I hope that all discussion conveys how wonderful this series is. I am heartbroken and crushed. It is digital only. I so desperately want it physically. It is definitely going to be one that I will come back to again and again. Very fun, gorgeous, stunning story with fantastic characters that I just can't wait to see how this romance is going to unfold because I need to see these two get married. But I would love to hear from you, friends. Are there some romantic fantasy reads that you maybe recently read or that you would recommend? Totally let me know down below. And if you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!